Have you ever heard an American say, I had to hit rock bottom before I finally changed my life? Or maybe the company hit rock bottom last year, but now things are improving. What does hit rock bottom mean? Did somebody actually fall down and hit a rock? Not at all. Today, you'll learn exactly what hit rock bottom means, when Americans use it, how to use it naturally in conversations. We'll go over some common mistakes to avoid, and we'll end with some pronunciation practice. Let's get started. First, what does hit rock bottom mean? When Americans say someone or something hit rock bottom, we mean they reached the lowest or worst possible point in a difficult situation. Imagine falling. You keep going down and down and down until finally you hit the bottom. You can't go any lower. And that's the idea behind rock bottom. But we're usually not talking about a physical place. We're talking about someone's life, career, finances, relationships, business, or emotional situation. For example, after losing his job and running out of money, he felt like he had hit rock bottom. This means his situation had become extremely difficult. Here's another example. The company hit rock bottom after losing its biggest customer. That means the company reached a very low point. But there's something important about this expression. Hitting rock bottom can sometimes be the beginning of improvement. Why? Because you're already at the lowest point. The only direction left is to go up. That's why you'll often hear sentences like, I hit rock bottom, and that's when I knew I had to make a change. So when do Americans use hit rock bottom? Let's look at some common situations where you might hear this expression. First, for financial problems. Imagine someone has been struggling financially for months. They lose their job, their savings disappear, and they can barely pay their bills. They might say, financially, I hit rock bottom last year. This means their financial situation became as bad as they felt it could possibly get. But maybe they found a new job, started saving money, and slowly recovered. They could say, I hit rock bottom last year, but things are finally getting better. You can also use this expression when talking about someone's career. I want you to imagine an athlete who used to be very successful. Then their performance gets worse. They lose their position on the team. They stop getting opportunities. Someone might say his career hit rock bottom. This means his career reached an extremely low point. But maybe he starts training again, gets another opportunity, and makes a comeback. Then you might hear, after hitting rock bottom, he completely turned his career around. This expression is also common when talking about companies or businesses. Now imagine a restaurant that used to be very popular. Then customers stop coming, sales fall, employees leave, and the restaurant is almost forced to close. You could say the business hit rock bottom during the pandemic, but then things improve, customers return, sales increase, and the business becomes successful again. You could say the business hit rock bottom, but eventually it recovered. You'll also hear hit rock bottom when someone is describing an extremely difficult period in their life. For example, after his marriage ended and he lost his job, he felt like he had hit rock bottom. Now, we also use this expression before making a big change, and this is one of the most common ways that Americans use this expression. Someone reaches a very difficult point and realizes something has to change. For example, I hit rock bottom before I finally asked for help. Or, hitting rock bottom made her realize she needed to change her life. So even though hit rock bottom describes something negative, the rest of the story can actually be positive. It can describe the moment before someone begins to recover or improve their situation. Now, there are 3 mistakes to avoid. The first one is using it for small problems. Remember, hit rock bottom is a strong expression. We use it for serious or prolonged difficulties. Mistake number 2 is changing the structure and saying, hit the rock bottom. Be very careful. You cannot change the structure. We say, I hit rock bottom. There is no the in the middle. Now, mistake number 3 is thinking it always means the situation is over. If someone says, I hit rock bottom, that doesn't automatically mean everything is better now. It only tells us that they reached a very low point. Maybe things improved afterward. Maybe they're still recovering. You need to know more context to know what happened next. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. He hit rock bottom. She hit rock bottom. For more idioms in English, check out my next video.